Today we have with us Mahindra's TUV 300. In Mahindra speak, that's tough utility vehicle. But when you factor in that it's a sub 4 meter SUV, that's a bit of a hard sell, right? But there are reasons why it can be called tough. We'll get into that shortly. Yes, this isn't the first time Mahindra has done a sub 4 meter vehicle. They have the Quanto, which was essentially a chalked up Xylo, an MPV. And this, Mahindra insists, is their first proper shot at the sub 4 meter SUV. It's sharing bits from other vehicles in the Mahindra portfolio, which is a good thing, and we'll get to that shortly, and we'll tell you all about the TUV 300 now. The TUV might be small, but it is loud. Its angular grille seems to have been inspired from the latest generation of Jeeps, and its chunky design seems to take inspiration from the iconic Humvee. Clearly, the TUV has been designed to grab attention and eyeballs. Now, in the flesh, in terms of design, the TUV has been a bit surprising. First, the good stuff, it doesn't have the over-the-top elements like we've seen on the XUV. It's much cleaner, has the geometric design theme, has the squarish look. You can see it on the wheel arches, the edge is all very straight. You expected it to look awkward, I certainly did, and it does look awkward, but less than what I would have imagined, because at the end of the day, this is sub 4 meters in terms of length, so it's short, but it's trying to pull off that SUV feel, so it has that bluff look to it, so it ends up being quite tall, and that's what makes it look awkward. So for instance, if the lower edges, the bumpers at the lower sections were blacked out, it would end up looking more balanced in terms of proportions. It would look lighter. Hopefully that's a fix that Mahindra can do, but on the upside, the wheelbase is really long. The chassis, the platform, actually the hydroform chassis is from the Scorpio with fine tweaks to it, so it's got a really long wheelbase, and the wheels have been pushed out right to the edges of the body, and that gives it a lot of room on the inside, should give it a lot of room on the inside, and also gives this tough utility vehicle great approach and departure angles. Yes, the TUV is a tough little machine, and at 190mm, its ground clearance is 10mm more than the Scorpio. It is also 150 kilograms lighter than the Scorpio. But when you compare it to other compact SUVs like the Renault Duster and the Ford EcoSport, the TUV 300 falls short in terms of ground clearance and also turns out to be significantly heavier by as much as 300 kilograms. Now, the TUV is different from other compact SUVs. We told you earlier it's got a body on frame construction, and the other reason is, well, as you can see here, it's got a third row of seats. We've got jump seats here, which are fairly decent for somebody like me who's not very tall. I'm 5'6". Could manage with a co-passenger, but on my own, it's nice. I can just stretch out. It's quite comfy. The downside to it is that there are no seat belts here to speak of, so I'm a little uncomfortable with that. But when it comes to luggage space, flip both the seats up and you'd be able to get 2 large bags in here. So compared to the EcoSport, this would be better, but compared to something like the Duster, well, it's definitely tighter than that. And you do have a high sill here, so loading luggage will take some effort. Now, the driver's seat is set to my position, and you can see the amount of knee room on offer here. It's really impressive. Under thigh support is good, and along with that, you can push your feet forward under the seat in front of you, so really comfortable in that sense. You've got plenty of headroom here, and in terms of width as well, it's quite impressive. I mean, if you're sitting 3 abreast, it would be fairly comfortable as well. And then you have the sense of airiness inside the cabin as well, because the windows are large and right up here next to you, so really impressive in terms of the sense of space that you get on the inside. Now, when you step into the front, it's really a pleasant surprise because you can see the design at Mahindra maturing. There isn't a flurry of colors and textures. Everything is much cleaner, neater, and just seems more appealing because of that. Nice center console here with a gloss black finish and a chrome trim. Just a few textures here for the black material here and the beige section here. Some bits do feel a bit flimsy in terms of the plastics, but by and large the cabin is nice and impressive. Chunky steering wheel, good supportive seats, great amount of space. So it's got a fair amount of equipment as well. You've got Bluetooth connectivity, you've got steering mounted audio controls. All of that is there. Mahindra is also making a point here by offering ABS and airbags across the variants. It's an option even on the base trim, which doesn't even get a music system. That's really a nice step. But by and large, when you look at the interiors, the thing is, some of that premiumness that you would get on something like an EcoSport is a bit lacking on the TUV. Smarter colors and design for the seat fabric,
and better fit finish would help lift the ambiance of the cabin. Now let's get a quick taste of the TUV 300's ability to move. This Mahindra has a longitudinally mounted engine that sends 84 bhp of power and 23.4 kg of torque to the rear wheels.
TUV's engine is derived from the Quanto's 1.5 litre 3-cylinder diesel engine, but here, because of the raft of improvements in terms of efficiency and refinement, it has been given the M-Hawk status. It's called the M-Hawk 80. And really on the go, what impresses is the drivability, because the company claims peak torque coming in at 1500 RPM, and it really does feel that way. It makes it very easy to drive, so you can sit around at higher gears at lower RPMs and just amble along comfortably. The thing is though that it runs out of breath pretty early, so about 3000 RPM, little bit more than that you could push it, but after that it's really not making much progress. Now there's also an eco mode along with this engine. It's a little switch here to activate it on the right hand side of the steering wheel. What it does is it dulls the throttle response, so it just gives you better fuel efficiency. In that mode, it gives you a bit more fuel efficiency in ARAI figures. Mahindra, as it is, claiming about 18.5 kpl in ARAI testing in the standard mode, but they say that with the eco mode on, it should be a lot more fuel efficient in real world conditions.
So overtaking and making quick progress down the highways will require a bit of extra effort. And when you do rev the engine, the 3-cylinder thrum becomes apparent on what is otherwise a smooth engine. However, the 5-speed gearbox feels a bit notchy to use. On the upside, Mahindra will offer an automatic transmission as an option. This automated manual transmission is offered on the top two trims.
Now, the TUV suspension setup has been fine-tuned by a company called Cayman from the US. Earlier, Mahindras have been tuned by Lotus of UK. And this setup really seems to be working because it feels quite tidy around this test track in Chakan. Other Mahindras have felt quite understeery. The TUV actually is managing to steer quite well. It's riding well too. The only thing is that, yes, it's a body on frame chassis. It's got big tires, 75 section rubber, so a lot of unsprung mass there, which means there is some lumpiness to the ride, but on the whole it seems like a good step up, and we can't wait to test it outside on public roads.
So the TUV 300, although impressive, doesn't steer with the car-like eagerness of its rivals, and the smooth surface of the test track didn't let us really explore how the suspension would cope with our typical Indian roads. So the TUV 300 is a compact SUV with a twist, as it gives traditional SUV toughness as much weightage as urbaneness and modernity. Sure, it isn't the slick contemporary package that we take for granted these days, but under that awkward shell, the TUV 300 has enough substance to be of genuine interest to the compact car buyers in India. And Mahindra has launched the TUV 300 in 3 variants with the option of an automatic gearbox as well. These variants come at price points that make a promising package all the more attractive.